Ba-da-da-da. This is not the same story as we went over yesterday. It's just a tribute to that story, because it's the story that never ends. That's right, this story comes to us from our friend Tanker, Eric Tanker over at Tanker's Tavern. Link down below. Wizards of the Coast, again, continuing to stir the pot of the never-ending artificial intelligence conspiracy that they created by trying to make us believe there was no conspiracy. And this all comes back to the story regarding a couple pieces of art in Bigby's Glory to the Giants. I don't care what you say, that's not Bigby. Oh, they cast reincarnation because none of them could have hit healing spells. You really? 47th level wizard, none of them had a healing potion? In 5e, you expect me to believe that? No, it's not Bigby, it's Scanlan. But I'm not bitter. No! Alright, so this comes to us from the community update that they post on D&D Beyond every week and then hide. This again goes back to the guy who did the work of art and then used AI to fix it. So let's just he didn't make any AI art, okay? He drew the picture on a piece of paper or whatever. Then he redrew it through the digital medium, Photoshop or whatever, or he scanned the picture he drew, I don't know. But there was an original picture. He did the original artwork. Then he ran it through AI to fix any mistakes, to pop up the colors, to fix any eraser marks that he might have missed, to basically just make it look presentable to Wizards of the Coast. Then, in December of last year, he gave them the art. He told them that he used AI to fix the mistakes. He was interviewed by a computer magazine where, again, he said, I used artificial arts to fix the mistakes and stuff like that. This is his original work. All he did was touch it up with AI instead of just touching it up by hand using Photoshop. He just had AI go through it and go, oh, here's a mistake, whatever. So, floating out there is this little bit of information that Wizards of the Coast has conveniently forgot that in December of last year, he told them, this has AI in it, and then in an article, he again said, this has AI in it. Bigby's Book of Giants came out. Somebody went, hey. Wizards of the Coast went, oops, that's artificial art. Artificial intelligence art. And somebody caught it. We better come up with a new policy and claim we didn't know that this was AI, even though the guy told us a year ago. All right, so last week we became aware of an artist that used generative AI to create artwork for the upcoming book Bigby's Glory of the Giants. We have worked with that artist since 2014, and he put in years of work into books we all love. While we weren't aware of the artist's choice to use AI in the creation process for these commercial pieces, we have discussed it with him, and he will not use generative AI for Wizards' work moving forward, as long as he's not caught. We weren't aware of the artist. He told you! We released a statement about this using generative AI on August 5th, and we want to provide more information for the reason behind our decision as well as to answer some of the questions we've had in the day since. Blah, 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 blah. Why didn't you catch this when AI art was submitted? We commissioned the artwork more than a year ago, before we had an AI policy in place as part of our standard process for working with artists. Plausible deniability. It's the same thing they used with the space monkeys. Oops. We didn't have a policy. We didn't have a guy whose job it was to check for things like that. The guy told you that he did it. I don't know, blah, 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 not listening. Not listening. We enjoy working with artists of a variety of styles, encourage artist's interpretation and exploration. We thus saw the artwork as an evolution of the artist's personal style. We did not realize there was a change in the process or tools. So if he draws the art on paper, scans it, and gives it to you, that's okay. If he draws the art and uses Photoshop to fix any mistakes, that's not okay. If he draws the art and then uses AI to go through it and fix the mistakes, the same thing he would have done by hand, that's not okay. So is that what you're saying? But we're good to continue working with the artists. We don't feel it's fair to ban artists when there was no AI policy in place for them to follow. Additionally, we have commissioned all art that used generative AI. So let us go now to the other story about AI, where there is other art in the book that looks a lot like pre-existing art, and at least one artist has, now this is separate from the first story, this is a completely different story. An artist has come forward and said that piece of art looks a lot like my art, but the AI changed it. And it turns out that that was true, that this guy submitted art to Wizards. Wizards ran it through AI so it looked different enough from the original art that they weren't violating any thing. And then they used that art, and then the guy said, hey, that's my art. And then Wizards went, oops, we don't use AI generative art. We're sorry. We're not going to use it in the future unless we get caught. I mean, we are going to use it. We just hope we don't get caught. What else are you doing to the dress? We have pulled the art that contained the AI art, and we will now have him do new art. Now, if you already had the digital version of Bigby's, you don't have to worry about it, because thanks to the magic of the fact that you're renting stuff on D&D Beyond, we can just go in and change the art, and you won't even know about it. You go to sleep tonight, it's the old art. Wake up tomorrow, it's a brand new art. We don't care if you didn't want us to change it. We have full ability to change whatever we want in the digital stuff that you have in D&D Beyond. Now, if you have the physical copy that has the old art in it, well, of course you're going to want to buy a new copy of the physical product, because you don't want to be associated with AI art, because that's bad. So even though you've already spent $55 for the physical one, you're going to want to buy a new one with the new approved Wizards of the Coast art, right? Because we didn't know the art was in there, and we sure as hell didn't know the art was in there until after the first physical copy hit the stands. Right? And people already had the digital copy. Right? How did we not know? How did we miss that? I don't know. It's not like we have an entire department whose job is to notice that. It's not like the guy told us. How do you know the future products won't contain AI art? Well, we're going to pass a new mandate that says, as long as nobody catches us, we require that artists refrain from using AI art tools as part of their art creation process for developing D&D art. We're also looking at other tools to assist in the detection of generative art. Further, we'll be reaching out to artists to see what kind of ideas they have. So again, if I use Photoshop or another program to fix my art, are you going to allow it? Or are you just saying, if I draw a picture and then I use AI to fix that picture so it's presentable, and then I present it to you, you're going to say, no, you can't use that picture because you use AI. Which leads us to the third concern about this, which is connected to the second and first concern. So the third concern that has come out of this is, we know Wizards of the Coast has a huge library of D&D art that has both been submitted to them that they never used, and that is from pre-existing products going all the way back to day one. There's art that they own the rights to. Technically, they could use that art at any point in time in any future product. But then they'd have to give those people credit. The concern is, since we know they've already done it at least once, that they're going to take that pre-existing art catalog, run it through AI so it looks different enough that the original artist can't say it's theirs, and they don't violate any copyrights, and then they use it again. So they could just say, this is brand new art created for us by Alan Smithy. It's not this old piece of art. Now, if you remember my initial review of Bigby's when we first saw it, one of the very first things I said, other than that's not Bigby, is, wow, this art looks really familiar. I know I've seen this somewhere before. And now it turns out, yes, you had seen it somewhere before, because it's a piece of art we used. We just changed it and didn't tell the artist. And the artist is like, wait a minute. And other people are like, wait a minute. So the concern is that they will do this in the future. Again, just use art they already have, change it enough, put it out there, attribute it to somebody new, so they don't have to acknowledge that D&D has a history pre-existing 2014, and they don't have to give that guy any money. Sorry, Earl Otis. Sorry, Jeff D. You didn't draw this picture. Alan Smithy drew this picture, and we just hope that none of these artists are still alive and will catch us. And if they do catch us, we can go back to this thing and the plausible deniability and go, oops, we didn't know. Obviously, our department didn't catch that one. We'll remove that art and put in brand new art from a real live artist who drew this by hand and scanned it and submitted to us. Yeah, sure. So there we go. Does this sound Orwellian enough for you? Because if it doesn't, it should. If you're an artist and you're thinking about contributing art to Wizards of the Coast, don't. Unless you get some weird new copyright protection attached to your art that says Wizards cannot change, mutilate, manipulate your art in any way, shape, or form. But, of course, since the pre-existing policy of Wizards is once you give us the art, it's ours and we can do whatever we want with it, and we technically don't even have to pay you for it, that is the big concern. There's a big Orwellian Wizards of the Coast can do whatever they want as long as they don't get caught concern. So, going forward, if some of the art looks familiar in the next Wizards of the Coast product you pick up, don't second guess yourself. Look into it, because chances are it could be. Because if they've already done it, it means they'll probably do it again. Because this story will never end. Because, God forbid, Wizards of the Coast go a single week without being controversial. What are your thoughts of the artificial intelligence art conspiracy? Is Wizards at fault? Is it something that they should be upset about? Is there something we shouldn't be upset about? Do we need to fight against the inevitable rise of our Roomba overlords and Skynet? Or do we just accept the fact that this is the future and live with it? You tell me what you're thinking about artificial intelligence. Till next time, beep, beep, boop, boop, Domo Arigato Mr Roboto.